whether we see the draining of the LBMA to levels that no one's ever seen before, and a massive discrepancy between paper contracts and gold bars. I mean, we've become a net importer of gold. The inflows into this country have been off the charts, net importers since November, as we talked about. And the central bank demand has for several years now been what has been pushing the price higher, but something's different here in the United States, no question about it. And it's interesting with all of the gold that's flown into COMEX, with the U.S. becoming net importer, with the July deadline for Basel III regulations coming into play. All of these things are interesting with, an interview I did with Judy Shelton where she's talking about issuing 50-year treasuries backed by gold. All of this stuff, Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, when he was running a hedge fund, his largest holding was gold. All of this stuff we keep hearing. And then yesterday, we get a tweet from Trump on Truth Social saying, "The golden rule of negotiating and success, he who has the gold makes the rules. Thank you." He wrote that on April 20th, yesterday at 3:09 p.m.
Wow.
I think that's a little interesting. What we are seeing right now, to me, more than anything, Ivan, is gold being reintegrated somehow, some way into the monetary system, whether we look at the massive amount of gold that's been accumulated by the BRICS nations and the admission of their, at least in principle, according to Dilma Rousseff, the former president of Brazil and the head of the New Development Bank, that they've agreed in principle to a gold settlement currency called the unit, 40% gold-backed, deliverable to central banks on demand. Whether we see the draining of the LBMA to levels that no one's ever seen before, and a massive discrepancy between paper contracts and gold bars available, or whether we see all the stuff coming here in the United States, something's going on, and it's not like gold is reacting to an event. Instead, it just is quietly I believe, being reintegrated into the monetary system, because not only is the public asleep, Ivan, when you first burst onto the scene, everyone was talking about silver, and now no one can't hear it. No one's talking
Yeah.
about gold. Nobody.
Yeah.
And that's the crazy thing. If you would have told me gold would be at 34.40, and you don't hear or see a damn thing about it anywhere mainstream, hardly at all.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and so that to me tells me that's still very early. It's the central banks that are doing this. It's the big money who's pushing it, but very quietly. I was at the club the other day working out, and at the end of my workout, I always do the elliptical, and normally I'm looking out over a window, but that one was taken, so I'm in front of a big TV, and it's CNBC, and I never watch it. And they got the streaming ticker that goes by, but underneath it there are boxes that spin every 4, 5, 6 seconds, like the Dow, the Nasdaq, the S&P, the Nikkei, the 10-year treasury yield, all that stuff. And I see gold come up. This was a few days ago when gold was 32.50 or so at its all-time high at that time. And I notice, well, something's weird here. I'm paying attention, and then comes gold again, and I count, and it's 47 spins of the boxes, maybe close to 10 minutes before it shows up again, at all-time highs. And I'm counting at the same time. There's 3 boxes that all spin with different indices, and I'm counting at the same time Bitcoin. There are 9 references to Bitcoin in the same 47 spins of that box to the one of gold at all-time highs.
That makes no sense.
Well, it's just either that or it does make sense, one or the other. And I can't quite tell, but if you would have told me at any point in my career that gold would be completely ignored by the mainstream as it's making new highs almost every day, I would say that's just impossible, but it's true.
Wow.
And so the retail public has virtually no allocation. Rick Rule just told me the other day, again, 0.5% allocation from Joe and Jane Sixpack to the Harvard Endowment Fund. There's virtually no mainstream retail investment. This is all the biggest money in the world who knows the playbook and is positioning ahead of the realization by the public. But these are strange times, man, completely and totally strange. But yeah, I think something is vastly different with gold. It has strength that I have never seen before. It gets knocked down by $200 a few weeks ago, and here it is way back up again, now at all-time highs in the aftermarket here again, up $10 after being up close to 100 or more earlier today.
Wow.
34.40 basically is where we're at. So yeah, crazy, crazy, crazy time.
And Andy, you look at the gold and silver ratio, we're almost at 104 to 1. Like how is that possible? Like, is silver just, like, is it going to play the catch-up game soon, or is it, what are your thoughts on silver right now? You see gold making these all new all-time highs, but what's going on with silver?
You can
Why
go
is the
back 150 years is the chart that I looked at, and it had only touched 100 twice, once almost, but twice or three times in the last 150 years.
Wow,
And every time it's anywhere near 100 to 1, the ratio falls back quickly. I mean, it just always has. And yes, you're right. It does have that historical catch-up pattern where it continuously lags behind gold in as gold makes its bull move, but then typically will dramatically catch up and outperform gold on a percentage basis. Anytime you get near 80 to 1, Ivan, it's a sell signal for gold and a buy signal for silver or an exchange. You go back, 5,000 years and the ratio geologically was 16 to 1 for almost all of humanity. And now it's 7 to 1, as Keith Newmeyer will tell you. It's depleting in nature. It's
right,
found in like your skin is epidermis. It's found in nature in a form called epithermal, right near the surface. Big deposits have been exploited years ago, and so if you have a 16 to 1 geologic ratio for most of human history, that has now fallen to 7 to 1 because it is the easy stuff has been scooped up. The price average has been 40-ish to 1 for the last 200 years, largely because of gold's role as money and silver in an industrial capacity. That's man's ratio. God's ratio said 16 to 1, falling to 7 to 1. Man's ratio for the last 200 years has averaged about 42 to 1,
right.
and now it's 100 plus to 1. This is an opportunity you do not see but one or two times in an investing career. Hey, look, I'm taking my gold salesman glasses off, and man to man, I would tell you that um, it's the opportunity of a generation. It truly is, and when you see the amount of concentrated short positions that seem to be unwinding in both London and in COMEX, the United States, because being naked short when there's this kind of global demand coming out of China, who's flying all around the world buying up doré and concentrate, in particular Peru and Latin America, paying double what the West will, sending it back to China for refining as the second largest producer of silver in the world, and
Right.
India buying north of 850, 900 million ounces over the last 4 or 5 years, and Russia adding it to their strategic stockpile. I don't ever remember a country doing that. And massive deliveries coming into the US, and the LBMA going from T+1 settlement to T+8 weeks because there's a shortage of trucks.
Wow.
Shit's breaking everywhere and
Right.
things are happening everywhere, Ivan. And these distortions that you see only magnify the final outcome. But anytime in history you go back, you're anywhere near 80 to 1, let alone 100 to 1, you're near that reversal, that catch up that you speak of. Um, and I would say there are very few times in history, in my lifetime or in anyone investing lifetime, where you can buy something that is that severely depressed based upon historical averages going all the way back, whether it be ratios between gold and silver or just, logic would dictate and selling at these prices compared to where it was in 1980. I can't think of too many things that you can buy at a 40% discount to its 1980 price that has expanded massively in its uses. Things are breaking. And I think you could argue if you have gold, this is the time to trade it to silver. You don't get opportunities like this very often.